When Karen snapped a photo of my truck at dawn and posted it to the HOA Facebook group titled Eyesores in Our Neighborhood, I knew she'd just picked the wrong fight. My name's Rick, ex-Army mechanic, proud owner of a lifted F-350 that's older than her HOA presidency. And that truck? It's not just metal and tires. It's a piece of my life. But to Karen, it was offensive to community standards. That morning, I found an HOA violation notice taped to my windshield in neat cursive. Remove unsightly vehicle within 72 hours or face fines. No warning. No conversation, just classic Karen procedure. She strutted past my driveway later, holding her tiny dog like a trophy, and said with that smug smile, "We're cleaning up the neighborhood, Rick. No hard feelings." I could have argued. I could have filed an appeal. But instead I smiled right back and said, "Sure thing, Karen. You'll never see this truck the same way again." That night, I stayed up late sketching an idea that made me laugh harder with every stroke of the pen. If she thought my truck was ugly before, she hadn't seen anything yet. By sunrise, I'd called in a buddy from my old detailing days who now ran a custom vinyl shop. I sent him the photo, Karen's Facebook profile picture. Hair perfectly sprayed, lips pursed, holding her HOA binder like a badge of honor. By Friday, my truck was completely wrapped, not with flames, not with camo, but with Karen's face, 50 times over. Each side of the truck was a collage of her smiling, judging expression. Her photo covered the hood, the tailgate, even the mirrors. It was art, glorious, passive-aggressive art. When I rolled into the cul-de-sac that afternoon, the sound of my diesel engine drew eyes from every house. Curtains shifted, phones lifted, and when Karen came out, clutching her dog and gasping like she'd seen a ghost, I leaned out the window and called, "You said it was an eyesore, so I made sure you're part of the view." She turned red, like the HOA violation letters she loved to send. "You can't do this, Rick! This is harassment," she screamed. But the neighbors, they couldn't stop laughing. Even the mailman slowed down for a photo. That's when I realized something. The real war with Karen had just begun. The Monday after Truckgate, I woke up to find 3 HOA board members standing in my driveway, arms folded like bouncers at a bad club. Behind them, Karen hovered with her phone out, recording every second like she was filming a documentary called Neighborhood Justice, The Karen Chronicles. "Mr. Dalton," said Greg, the HOA vice president, with his usual fake diplomacy, "we've received multiple complaints about your vehicle." I leaned against my truck, admiring Karen's face smiling back at me from the hood. "You mean her vehicle," I said, pointing to her photo plastered across the doors. "Technically, she's everywhere now." Greg didn't laugh. Karen definitely didn't. "You're in violation of Section 4, Subparagraph B of the Community Appearance Code," she barked, flipping open her binder. "Vehicles must not display inappropriate or disruptive imagery." "Inappropriate?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "It's your face, Karen. If it's offensive, maybe that's a personal issue." The board members looked like they wanted to disappear. Greg cleared his throat, muttering something about resolving things peacefully. But Karen wasn't having it. She stormed closer, heels clicking like gunfire. "You will remove this monstrosity or I'll have it towed." "Towed?" I laughed. That'd be interesting, since it's legally parked on my property. But hey, if you tow it, make sure they don't scratch your forehead on the tailgate. That was it. She lost it. "I'm filing a complaint with the county. This is harassment and defamation." "Defamation would mean it's false," I said. "You sure you want to argue that?" The other board members scattered. Karen stomped off to her house, muttering threats into her phone. 10 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser rolled into the street. I waved. Officer Daniels stepped out, a friend of mine from high school. He took one look at the truck and burst out laughing. "Rick, you didn't." "Oh, I did." Karen came rushing over waving papers. "Officer, arrest him! He's violating HOA rules and slandering me." Daniels adjusted his sunglasses. "Ma'am, that's not a criminal matter." "What do you mean it's not criminal?" she snapped. "It's freedom of expression," he said, still chuckling. "And frankly, that's some quality rapping work." Karen's jaw dropped. My neighbors, pretending to check their mail, started clapping. She glared at me like I'd burned down her empire. I knew right then, she wasn't done. Karen wasn't the type to lose gracefully. She was already plotting her next move. And trust me, her next move would make national headlines in our little suburb. By Wednesday, I thought the chaos had peaked. I was wrong. Karen wasn't just angry, she was strategic. That morning, I woke up to find my phone buzzing nonstop. Notifications, tags, messages. My truck, her face, was all over social media. Someone in the neighborhood had uploaded a video of my mobile masterpiece, and it went viral overnight. The post had over 200,000 views with the caption, "HOA president gets a taste of her own rules." Karen's name trended locally. People online started making memes, her face on cereal boxes, traffic cones, even Mount Rushmore. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. But across the street, Karen's curtains stayed closed. She was quiet. Too quiet. At noon, I found out why. A city code inspector showed up. Clipboard badge and a nervous smile. "Mr. Dalton, we received an anonymous report about zoning violations and unauthorized vehicle signage." I didn't even need to ask who made the call. Karen's blinds shifted as I waved up at her window. "Sir," the inspector said carefully, "is this your personal vehicle?" "Sure is," I replied. "No business promotion, no obscene material, just a work of modern art." He circled the truck, stifling a laugh as he saw her face repeating down the tailgate. "Well, I can't find a violation," he finally said. "Whoever reported you doesn't have much of a case." "Tell me about it," I said, grinning. By sunset, Karen had switched tactics. She started sending HOA-wide emails titled, "Community Under Attack by Bully Behavior." In her messages, she called me a public nuisance and emotional vandal. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Every time someone drove by and honked, it said more than words could. But that night, she crossed a line. I caught her sneaking down my driveway with a flashlight, snapping pictures of my plates. I stepped out quietly, letting the motion sensor lights kick on. She froze like a deer. "Karen," I said softly, "you really want to play this game at midnight?" She sputtered. I'm collecting evidence." "Perfect," I said. "Smile for the camera." I pointed to the security cam blinking above my garage. The next morning, the footage, Karen crouching in her pajamas, flashlight in hand, joined the growing collection of viral clips. The internet crowned her the HOA ninja. I figured she'd give up then. But I underestimated how far a determined Karen would go to save her pride. Because the next knock on my door wasn't from the HOA. It was from a lawyer. Saturday morning, I opened the door to a man in a gray suit, holding a folder stamped, "Hendris & Co. Legal Services." He cleared his throat and said, "Mr. Dalton, my client, Ms. Karen Fuller, is pursuing damages for defamation and emotional distress." I smiled. "Of course she is. Come in." He blinked, surprised at how calm I was. I let him hand over the papers. Pages of exaggerated nonsense about public humiliation, mental anguish, and loss of HOA credibility. She wanted $25,000 in damages and a public apology. I almost choked laughing. "Sir," he said stiffly, "you're taking this lightly." "Because it's light," I replied. "You might want to tell your client that everything she's claiming happened because of her own face on my property." He sighed, muttered something about uncooperative clients, and left. I didn't panic. Instead, I called my old buddy Mike, a lawyer who owed me a favor from our army days. He read the papers and whistled. "She doesn't have a case, Rick. This'll fall apart faster than her fake pearls." Still, I let it play out. The court date was set for 2 weeks later. Word spread fast. By the time we walked into the small county courtroom, half the neighborhood had shown up to watch. Karen strutted in, perfectly dressed, her expression smug, like she'd already won. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, flipped through the files. "Ms. Fuller, your complaint claims defamation. Do you have evidence the defendant made false statements about you?" Karen gestured dramatically. "Your Honor, his truck has my face all over it. People are mocking me online. He's ruined my reputation." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Did he alter your image or write anything defamatory?" "No," Karen admitted. But it's your public photo, correct?" "Yes, but then that's not defamation. That's irony." The courtroom erupted in laughter. Even the bailiff cracked a smile. Karen's face went pale. The judge continued, "I'm dismissing this case. And, Ms. Fuller, consider this a lesson in handling disputes with maturity instead of ego." Karen stormed out, red-faced and defeated. Outside, the neighbors clapped. Someone even shouted, "Smile for the truck, Karen!" That afternoon, I drove my Karen mobile one last time around the neighborhood before finally removing the wrap. I wasn't cruel. I'd made my point. A week later, the HOA voted for a new president. Karen's reign was officially over. And as for my truck, it still sits proudly in the driveway, clean, polished, and completely Karen-free. If you loved seeing Karen get roasted by her own rules, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more wild HOA revenge stories. And drop a comment below telling us what you would do if you were in my shoes. I'll be reading all of them.